Plaintiff Emily Harner met the defendant when she was 18 years old, and 10 months later, they got married. Emily claims they started having a lot of problems, so they decided to have a child, hoping it would bring them closer. However, Emily says they eventually divorced because the defendant was so controlling, and she's suing him today for unreturned property. Defendant Vincent DiCarlo says while he and Emily were engaged, he discovered she was still talking to one of her ex-boyfriends, so he called off the engagement. However, once he found out Emily was pregnant, they decided to tie the knot. Vincent claims Emily turned out to be nothing but a gold digger, and he's suing her today for child support payments and an unpaid loan.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
Vincent and I met when we were young, 18 years old. We met through church. We got married about 10 months after that. During that first year, we just started a lot of arguments and fights,
About what?
Oh my gosh, just about everything. I mean, it was so long ago. It just started from money on up, everything. And so we decided to have a child, hoping, that maybe a child would help alleviate any of the problems.
That's a lie, Your Honor. Can I state the truth on that fact?
Go ahead.
When we first met, it's true we met, we had our problems. I purchased 2 cell phones so that we can communicate. During that time, she was talking to 2 or 3 of her ex-boyfriends. I caught her. I confronted her about it. She apologized and told me she understood why she was doing it. I said, well, this can't happen. She said it wouldn't happen anymore. And it happened again. We weren't going to go through with getting married. She confronted me, told me she was pregnant. Then we got married. I manned up. I said, I'm not going to allow this to go on any further. Let's get married. The next Friday, after she told me this, we were married. And then that's when, and then our marriage started. And then it continued. There was more phone calls with her ex-boyfriends, and it put a wall between us. So in 2004, this 4 years went by, this whole problem is back and forth. I just didn't trust her. So it put a wall between us. So in 2004, she files for divorce. Then she goes off and meets someone else.
Your Honor.
I'll let her catch up.
Yeah, let me.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what he's stating is not completely the truth. There was one person that I was talking to who's a very good friend of mine. So that was it. And after he confronted me about it, I stopped it. So from him going on from there is a lie.
So what was the problem that caused the breakup or divorce?
Because from that point on, he just didn't trust me and whatever, and we just constantly fought over everything.
Okay.
Going to the grocery store, I'd have to ask for money. I never was on any of his bank accounts. If I had a job, I'd have to ask him or say, look, I'll pay you back. You don't pay your husband back. That's wrong.
Is that true, sir?
To a certain point, she was a very untrustworthy person.
Why?
Extremely, because I dealt with her.
She couldn't go to grocery shopping. She couldn't be
she
trusted?
went grocery shopping. She went grocery shopping.
and
She
ask for
spent plenty of money. This woman is an absolute gold digger.
Oh, I am not.
All she was ever after was money. Money. If we had money, life was grand. If we didn't have money, she was in the worst mood ever.
On the contrary, it was him who would not be in a great mood.
Okay, who's so well off that you all are gold digging against each other?
How am I going to gold dig?
Who has some money?
I can't gold dig against
At certain points of our marriage, I was making decent money, and so that's
while married.
Correct.
Gold diggers start out. You have to start out with money.
Yes,
I
can.
You don't get married first.
Exactly.
You have to start out with money with a gold digger.
Right. So
this just is a foundation.
There's no foundation. Any case, so this is what I've had to deal with. He's very controlling. He likes to make my character look bad. Where for 3 years before the divorce, I just tried really hard to make it work. And he knows that because we've talked about it at that time. And he's like, I know, you're right, I'm sorry. So I was like, I can't do it anymore. I tried to be a mother, a great mother. I tried to be a great wife. I made a house for us. I did what I could with what he gave me. I was under his constant rule of thumb. Just over and over. You can't do this. You can't go there.
So
I'm not going to give you this.
I served him with divorce in 2004. Mm-hmm. And what happened?
So we went to the court. They told us if, we wanted to reconcile they'll put it on hold. Nothing would happen. So we tried to reconcile. After I got pregnant with our son, I just had enough. Went to the court, found out we actually were divorced. I'm like, oh great, these 3 years, I could have been happy. They never told us we were divorced. I don't know what happened. No email, no letter, no nothing. Seriously. I don't know. It's
that
true.
Is true. That is true.
Go ahead.
She filed for divorce in 2004. She met another man. She dated him for a few months. It was her best friend's fiance's cousin. That didn't work out. We reconciled. We stayed together for another 2 years when our son was born in 2007. And 3 months after he was born, she was out partying, having threesomes with her best friend.
Oh my God.
And then after that,
Where did you get that from, sir?
I don't know where he's getting all that from.
She told me this. And then she met another guy. She dated him for another year. They ended up he ended up cheating on her. And I'm like, well, just talk to me. We'll talk. Call me later, whatever. Let's talk. Because prior to that, I haven't talked to her for a year. That night, she was back in my bed. Okay? So a month and a half goes by. She gets sick of me telling her that she can't go out and party. She can't do that. She's a mother. She has to stay home and take care of the kids. If I'm taking care of you, this is the way it's going to be. So after that month and a half goes by, she meets someone else. So they move in together. They have their thing, whatever. In December, she calls me again. She says, my life's falling apart. I'm getting kicked out of my house. Can you help? I said, well, fine, I'll take you back again. And the only reason why I'm taking her back is because I'm from a divorced family. She's from a divorced family. I do not, and I would do anything for my kids not to have a divorced family. So I keep taking her back. I've taken her back so many times. It's unbelievable. So by the end of January, the boyfriend she was dating, they moved into another man's house. They were staying there. They break up. By the end of January, I find out she's dating that guy that they were renting that room from. Okay? It's the strangest situation. I find out through a friend of hers that she's doing coke. She's partying. She's having threesomes, foursomes with. I mean, this is stuff that she's telling me. She's telling me this. So if she's telling me that, she's lying. Okay. So by the end of January, I said, I'm done with this. You're not coming back to my house. That's where we come to a situation where she's telling me I destroyed her clothes. The cops came to my house. I haven't
heard that part. That's what you're suing for,
yes,
him destroying your clothes?
I mean, this is just what I've literally had to put. I mean, constant lies, constant making me look like a horrible, horrible person. And I really am not. And it's just really damaging to me. Let's
get to the property.
So anyways, I called him to let him know that I was coming to get my property. He said, it's not here, I gave it away or whatever, don't come to the house. So I showed up at the house with 2 police officers. He told him that he wasn't going to give him back my stuff and that it wasn't there.
You weren't allowed into the house?
I wasn't allowed in the house. The police officers went into the house, searched the house. All they found was like an old pair of shoes of mine and a sweater. And they said, sir, where's her things? I'm not giving them to her.
And you also stated that they didn't find any of your property.
Yes, you're right. But our daughter who's 6 years old told me that in her room was a box full of my clothing. It was hidden under blankets.
So I brought the police officers into my home. I told the officer, I'm not giving them back to her. There's no way. And then her mother called me. She says, let's just stop this bickering. Just give her stuff back, whatever. I said, fine. I packed her stuff up in 2 of those 45-gallon barrel things you can get from Walmart. I bring it to her home, her parents' home, not her home, her parents' home.
He did come by and drop off a handful of my clothing. His niece is in...
What items did he fail to give you, ma'am?
There was jeans missing.
You don't have a list?
Yeah, I have a list right here. There was some older couple dresses in there, a couple older pairs of jeans.
What do you think he did with the others?
His nieces and his aunt or his sister are wearing my clothes.
And I need to show
I have.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
My daughter, my pastor at the church, she's one of the nieces.
Yes, this is my niece.
Man.
My daughter saw her go into my closet taking my clothes.
State your name.
Janika Noriega.
Okay.
I saw her clothes. I did see them before he gave them at his house, before he gave them back to her. And they were all like size 10s, like bigger.
You went through her clothes?
Yes, I told you that they went into my house and took my clothes.
Because I was taking them from the closet and she was just like,
that's not right. No.
So far, sir, you admit that You refused
Yes.
to initially give them to her.
Yes, I do.
And now you say that you allowed your niece to go through them.
And his sister.
No, that's not true.
You
I didn't
did.
say
You said
I
you
didn't,
allowed her to go through them. What do you mean it's not true? Didn't you just say that? Did you just say you allowed her to go through them?
I said while I was taking them from the closet.
And you allowed her to go through them. She knows the sizes. She knows the items that were in there and everything else. $5,000 for the plaintiff. I believe he refused to give you all your clothes. I believe he allowed her to go through them and take some of them. He refused to give them to you while the police telling them in their face, I won't do anything. I suppose he did bring a couple of items that she didn't want to wear and the other niece didn't want to wear.
How is that possible?
Counterclaim for $5,000 for child support. How does she owe you for that?
Okay. Child support was awarded to me by the judge as of February 1st of 2008. She did not pay. The first payment was it was April 4th, and the payments stopped as of August last year. And from August to now, I have not received a dime.
The whole time frame, I've not been working, so I can't really pay him child support.
What time frame?
From September till present. And this is the time frame of he's saying that I don't have.
So you do owe. What else do I need to know?
When we went to court last for this case, it was right after I stopped working, and the judge told me the amount each month that I'm supposed to pay when I start working again. He never said I owe any back child support. I mean, I have the paperwork here from that court date. You know, from
So
the
you're saying the
last. It
judge-
wasn't a year ago that we went
The
to
judge wiped
court.
away all your arrearage?
He never told me I owe any back
Okay,
child
but you do.
support. Okay, but I'm just telling you what I was already.
Did you ask him?
I didn't really get
Right.
a chance to know.
Right, maybe that's why he didn't tell you. He probably assumed you knew that if
Yeah.
you don't pay something, you still owe it.
Right, right.
He probably assumed you might figure that out.
Yeah.
Unpaid loan, how does she owe you for that, sir?
Well, when she was living at my house, and she moved into my house in September, and during that time, a family friend of theirs passed away in Texas, and they wanted to rent a vehicle to go
You
there.
loaned her the money to go?
No, instead of wasting the money on a rental, her car was breaking down. I said, let me fix your car so you guys can drive down there rather than having
Did she agreed to repay you?
She
No,
told me.
he never gave me a loan.
Quiet, ma'am. Did she agree to repay
Yes,
you?
she told me once she got a job, because she was going to get a job.
How
with her,
much did she agree to repay
She
for
was
the
going to
car?
take care of the. She was going to take.
How
care,
much?
It was like $1,000.
No, that's wrong.
That's how much it took care
I
of.
don't even remember saying.
Okay,
He
fine.
never told me to pay him.
The child support is a total of how much, sir?
$4,120.
All right, and that's your judgment. $4,120. You haven't proven to me about this car deal. When I asked you how much, you said, $1,000. You just threw a number out there. $5,000 is your judgment, leaving you with $880.
880.
I'm starting to add. $880 you're left with for your clothing. Have a good day.
I'm sorry it had to come to this point because he's constantly dragging me back and forth to court for jealousy. You know, the fact that I don't want to be with him. I mean, you could see why.
I could care less about being with her.
But anyways.
Honestly, I get along with my kids. She barely sees her kids. She sees her kids one day a week. One day a week she sees her kids.
I'm
That's
done.
at her
I don't
request.
wanna do anymore.
At her own request, she sees her kids one day a week.
No, it's not true.